Good day, everybody, and welcome to the Future of Insurance podcast series for industry leaders. I am really excited today to have join me the managing partner of Mandela Partners, Minh Tran. Minh and I have gotten to know each other as InsurTech influencers and through Sabine and a number of other people, and I'm just thrilled to have him join our podcast series. Minh, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You know, it's been quite an interesting last 5 years and quite an interesting year. But before we kind of get into the conversation, why don't you give a little background about yourself, your new company, and what you are doing at Mandela Partners in helping insurers around innovation?
Yes, so I've been in innovation venturing for 20 years. Back in 2012, I created an InsurTech fund backed up by AXA. It helped me to learn about the pain points of insurance on a global basis. And about 2 years ago, I stopped with AXA and I started to launch my own company. So Mandela Partners helps to de-risk innovation with strategic and financial investments. And those investments we match venturing program of any insurance with our ability to do research and sourcing. And in this particular sourcing part, I partner with Sabine van der Linden and Dan White to launch the Alchemy Crew, which is a kind of research lab for us and a sourcing arm. That's what I'm doing.
Good. One of the things that we wanted to talk about is we've got to know each other over the last few years through InsurTech. And as you look at the last 4 to 5 years, how has InsurTech impacted the industry? And what parallels do you see for for insurance from other industries that have been disrupted?
So we have this framework called the disruption framework. It basically combines user, business, and technology trends. And so when you have a trend combining user, business, and technology, we know that the disruption is coming. So for example, if user want to listen to online music, business allow $1 per song, and technology will enable digital right management, then you have disruption of the music industry for iTunes. So we've been using this going forward, and we have been applying it to the insurance. And with that particular framework, we kind of look at what's coming next, and we come back to a minute.
Okay, how do you see over the last few years, when we started talking about innovation probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, a lot of companies kind of set up their, separate little innovation groups. And increasingly, innovation has really become part of a strategy. It's become more operationalized, I guess. What do you see that evolution of innovation, and how do you see it moving forward as a core part of the business rather than kind of as a separate function that works independently from the rest of the organization?
Yes. So if we look at the past 10 years, where I've been working around InsurTech, I think in the first 2 years, maybe 2 to 3 years, innovation was more defensive. People were to say, if the GAFA enter insurance, what do I do? So it was more, I have to set up my own fund or my own corporate funds to be able to invest in technology, to learn about it, but it's very defensive mode. And then about maybe 5 years ago, I guess, the whole trends came to become more about partnering. About half of insurance companies said we need to partner with startups and we need to work with them. Some of them want to partner with early stage company and other with growth companies. And we've been seeing that for the past few years. And the partnering have evolved to a more strategic innovation. Right now, we're looking at company looking to solve different pain points and now combined with technology from startups. They are coming now more and more strategic for insurance.
I love that concept of defensive versus offensive innovation. That's really a cool thought. So from a product and market and customer perspective, data is really going to be crucial in providing that dynamic digital customer experience and the way to engage with customers, understanding customers' preferences, understanding information about them that could be used in the underwriting process, different data points that maybe we haven't used in the past. Talk about what you're seeing insurers doing as it relates to all of these different sources of data and how data is going to be really the fuel to power innovation.
Yes, so I've been asked to work around different data around prospect relationship management or customer relationship management. And I've been sourcing very cool technologies that can, scan your email and then identify your email address and convert it into a data point in Salesforce as a contact details, right? And that can be done automatically and so on. Cool solution called EverContact in the US. But then when you start to implement this solution, and everybody loves it, right? It helps your agent to synchronize contacts. It helps synchronization with Salesforce or any CRM firm for insurance companies. But then when you start to implement it, then you stop because you have legacy IT and very, old-fashioned or, system that cannot cope with the new technology. And that has been the problem. So we see a lot of demand from insurance companies, innovation teams to collect customer data. And then we see, a big pain point to convert those data points into one platform, because of IT issues.
We've talked about data for a long time in this industry, and obviously it's really important to a lot of the aspects that we do. But I think it's really going to become heightened over the coming years. And that's where some of the new technologies, particularly artificial intelligence and machine learning, are really going to play a really crucial part. We're seeing that in some of the startups that are using AI and machine learning, to kind of wrap that data and the information gathered into the whole process from the back end of the claims back into the underwriting and everything in between. Talk about what are insurers really leveraging AI and machine learning like they need to, and where do you see that going?
Oh, but AI is going towards, RPA and a lot of claim processing and so on. So we see AI from, CRM to claim management. So, and in AI, you have different type of AI, right? NPL and so on and so forth. What I see also is the more important place of AI, but more mentally data collection, because remember my framework, and if I take travel insurance now and versus IT, and you see that the travel insurance were collecting data from user in order to develop businesses, and pricing. But now, because of the COVID, the data or the past data are all gone. So now, if you want to collect traveler patterns, it's very hard, and you have to collect new type of data. So technology that enable you to collect new data will be crucial because it enables you to do new business policies. So user, business, and technology are playing their role now more importantly than before. The same goes with online consultation, right? I mean, for example, in Europe, the online consultation was, like less than 10% before. It's more like 80% going forward. So there's new set of data that are coming up,
Yep.
and there's no technology to, take care of those data. And AI, machine learning, and so on are going to help insurance doing a better business going forward.
It's really interesting because there was, I'm sure you saw it as well, the announcement, I think it was last week, that announced over in London with the Lloyd Syndicate Kai, a massive investment by BlackRock, $500 million, into that whole kind of AI machine learning type of underwriting process over there. So, I mean, that's real money, and that's really changing a business model pretty substantially, particularly in a market that has been notoriously very manual and paper intensive. I think that's going to give a wake up call for a lot of people, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm sure. And those technologies are in the very beginning of the Garth curve. The technology curve is actually quite interesting. And these technologies are very much at the beginning. We will see much more in the future.
Yeah. So beyond AI and machine learning, what other areas of focus for technology are you seeing? I know one of the areas that we really talk about are platform technologies, for which it's cloud, it's APIs. Obviously, you've got microservices, and then it's also about the ecosystem and being able to really integrate in some of these new data sources or new capabilities from the insurtech startups through APIs to be able to do some really unique things as it relates to customer engagement or experience or business processes. What are you seeing as some of the areas of focus with the insurers that you're working with, Minh?
So in terms of technology platform, I work mainly on blockchain nowadays, basically to link life insurance and asset management, and also I work also on those API or what I call middle tech or middle tech, because you remember we have new techs from startups and then legacy from insurance, and it has been very hard to work with the two until and those guys came up, the middle tech, right, which enables to interact with new technologies at the same time, work with legacy systems. I think the guys are in position in the middle, the winner going forward in insurtech technologies.
Yeah. So we're kind of heading into the planning season for most insurance companies. They're getting ready to do their strategic planning, update their strategic plans, look at their priorities, and then look at their budgets. And one of the conversations that we've been having with people in the industry is how we really need to kind of step back and rethink our planning process. If you just look at this year alone, we started out the year with plans and then everything changed because of COVID. And that's before all the changes that we've had as a result of insurtech and new emerging technologies and customer expectations and new competitors, et cetera. How are you kind of working with insurers to kind of rethink that process? And then also, instead of looking at continue with your operations as is and doing small enhancements here and there and adding a few new products here and there, how do they begin kind of reallocating resources, both capital and people, to begin to build out a different business model, an operating model that will be structurally different and will be from a cost perspective very different, but also from a technology perspective very different for the future, because there's going to be different types of products, whether it's on demand types of products or parametric types of products, and yes, still some of the same products, but what we really have a different model that really needs to kind of emerge. So how are you working with insurers in this planning season?
So insight and foresight. So first of all, we looked at some insight. We interviewed about 40 different companies post-COVID, and we came up with Alchemy Crew of 4 domains of concern. First, operational and business resilience. Second, climate change and risk. Third, corporate and mental health. And then fourth, emerging risks like cyber and so on and so forth. And then we're trying to work with sourcing startup around those 4 domains. And it came out very clear that there's a lot of people are looking into one specific theme going foresight. It's around the future of sustainable insurance. How insurance can do more sustainable innovation. We can see that in green finance a little bit now. We can see in banks and so on, but insurance are starting to grasp for it. And I've seen the rise of what I call social purpose insurance company, call it SPIC. In France, for example, you have La Maif, and you can see a lot of companies going forward thinking, because of the current trends, ESG impact kind of demands, how the insurance company can have a better raison d'etre or social purpose. And I think this is the main theme going forward, the strategic planning. There's a lot of demand for that kind of answer, because people want to go in that direction, but how to go there. And so we are here to tell them, why you should go there. We can help you how to learn about it, and there's a few things we can offer. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
That's really cool. Where do you see insurance over the next 3 years, Minh? Obviously we've had a lot of change over the last 3 years, but where do you see insurance in the next 3 years? Where do you see some of the changes in leadership happening in the industry?
So if I built on sustainable innovation, one clear theme was about prevention impact, because the business of the insurance is around prevention. And I've told you they've been very defensive before, and now a few of them are being more offensive. How can they do better to do prevention from P&C, obviously, but also in health. And some of them are looking into life now, financial planning and so on and so forth. So prevention impact would be the second word, impact, because they want to measure how prevention has been implemented. And a lot of companies have started to create, both quantitative but also qualitative work with external party. And that's the main thing I'm seeing.
Okay, great. So as we wrap this up, I always love to ask my guests on the podcast to pick one word or phrase to describe the future of insurance and why. So what would your one word be, Minh?
Well, obviously, my word is, asset building, because what we are doing is we're helping insurance to innovate, and we help them to create new assets, to build new assets going forward. So asset building would be my hashtag.
Wonderful. Well, Min, it's been great getting to know you these last few years, and I'm looking forward to the next few years as we all collaborate together, really trying to push the industry forward to what I see as a really exciting time and a real opportunity for greater growth for the industry to meet the changing needs of our customers.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you.